Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German Lutheran theologian who opposed the Nazis during the years of the Third Reich. He worked in resistance and stood up for Jews, and eventually was arrested and executed. He is one of the few Christian martyrs who opposed Nazism. In this video, we will explore his life and see what he did. Dietrich and his twin sister Sabine were born on February 4th, 1906, as the 6th and 7th children of Karl Bonhoeffer, a prominent physician, and his wife Paula. He was educated at home for his early childhood because Paula Bonhoeffer believed in a strong moral and intellectual character that was not available in German schools. His academic ability earned him renown in his early years. At age 14, he decided, "I am going to become a theologian." Dietrich, the church is weak and serves only itself. If the church is really what you say it is, then I shall have to reform it. In 1923, he began his studies in Tübingen and finished them in Berlin in 1927. In 1928, he served at a Lutheran church in Barcelona. In 1930, he studied at Union Seminary in New York. In 1931, he started teaching theology at the seminary in Berlin. After the rise of the Nazis, most of the German Lutheran Church followed the Nazis, as they had always been obedient to the state, and many Protestants hoped Hitler would help them. A group calling themselves the German Christians became the head of the Nazis inside the church. "We propose an alien clause, making only the master race able to join the church." However, Bonhoeffer opposed this. "If non-aliens cannot join the church, then why should we?" In 1933, he wrote the essay, "The Church and the Jewish Question." He addressed the problems the Jews were facing. He also said what the church must do to stop injustice. The church must fight injustice in 3 ways: question state injustice and call the state to responsibility, help those affected by injustice, and not only to help those who have fallen under the wheel, but to fall into the spokes of the wheel itself in order to stop injustice. That year, he left Germany and served 2 German-speaking congregations in London. "We must unite all the churches in Germany into one right church. We must remove all of the already existing non-Aryan clergy members." Many church leaders opposed these ideas and broke off to form the Confessing Church, supposedly free of state influence. Bonhoeffer's London church joined this. In 1935, Bonhoeffer returned to Germany and began teaching at Finkenwald, a Confessing Church seminary. However, the Confessing Church was under pressure from the Nazis, as when the 1937 Himmler decree outlawed the teaching of Confessing Church students, and when the Gestapo closed Finkenwald and arrested several of Bonhoeffer's students. They also began to pressure Bonhoeffer, and in 1938 he was forbidden from living or working in Berlin. His friends and family urged him to return to New York, but he refused, saying, "I must share the trials of this time with my people." He then intensified his preaching, and in 1940, his public speaking privileges were rebuked. He was then able to get a job as an agent for the German military intelligence, and instead of using his church contacts to spy on the Allied governments, he instead spread word of the German resistance. However, the Nazis got suspicious and had him put in the Tegel prison. The Gestapo had no real charges on him, so he was allowed some basic privileges. This changed after the Nazis realized his connections to Colonel Stauffenberg and the other officers who attempted to kill Hitler on July 20th, 1944. However, Bonhoeffer was not entirely saddened by this. He wrote a letter to his friend the day after. "For this reason, I thankfully and peacefully reflect on things past and present. Although he was doomed, he was happy the world knew not all Germans supported the Nazis." In 1945, he was moved to Buchenwald concentration camp, then Regensburg, then Schoenberg, then Flossenburg. He was hanged on April 9th, 1945, at the age of 39. His theology was shaped by his parents' integrity and civic duty. His experiences in places like Rome, North Africa, and Harlem. He left a great legacy and has deeply influenced and even troubled Christianity. He was even mentioned by Martin Luther King Jr. "If your opponent has a conscience, then follow Gandhi and nonviolence. But if your enemy has no conscience like Hitler, then follow Bonhoeffer." Unlike many other church leaders of his day, He was one of the few who opposed the Fuhrer. He also showed that good will prevail over evil, but Christians need to help.